Hello and welcome to the Villa Park podcast. It's me, Rich, and I'm back with Kev. We may have a guest appearance from Sam as well, but we'll see what happens. George forgot about it and he's out on the beers, but we'll let him off. But yeah, me and you, Kev, tonight on
Right,
a
mate.
Friday night. What more can you what more can you say?
Wouldn't rather be anywhere else, mate. Yeah, bank holiday weekend, could be out drinking, having a few beers, being social. Instead, I'm chatting about Aston Villa's, back to go on our fourth victory of a season-ending 12-game winning run, firing us into the Champions League. So you got to talk about these kind of things, mate.
Got to. What? Why ever not? Why ever not? But yeah, thank you for everyone joining. Get in the comments with what your thoughts are for tomorrow. We'll obviously go through starting lineups. What we think will starting lineups. We'll go through the stats. We'll go through kind of predicted scores, and yeah, generally round up some Villa news as well that we've come across over the last couple of days. And yeah, please do hit that like button. We got through 1,200 subscribers as of today, which is fantastic. So thank you all for your support. It is amazing. Getting close to that 2,000 subscribers, which if we could get in the next few weeks would be crazy. So please do hit that subscribe button. If you want to donate to the channel, please hit that $sign. Any amount is amazing, is just phenomenal. I think we got a £2 super thanks the other day for some comments, and obviously people have donated in the live chat. So yeah, anything is amazing, but just you guys watching and commenting is more than enough. Yeah, Kev, obviously I'm still not. I don't think I'm still over the euphoria of Tuesday night. I was just chatting to my dad on the phone there and like just reliving it, and he was like, it must have been amazing being in that stadium. And like, yeah, I don't think I've quite got over it yet. And we've got another game coming up tomorrow.
Yeah, me too, mate. Me too. I mean, I thought that, the resurgent Chelsea, they won 3 games in a row, didn't they? Like fairly recently. I thought, well, we'll probably come unstuck against Chelsea away. And then we won that one. And I thought, well, it'd be classic Villa, wouldn't it? But, classic Villa is a phrase which is going to go out of fashion, I think, pretty soon, because every time it's classic Villa to do this and do that. And Emery just keeps slaying all these dragons. So, it's So we went into that game knowing that they'd obviously had. One thing we didn't discuss was the fact that obviously that Rodgers had been sacked. I don't think we didn't even mention that on the pod. So you thought you might have got a bit of reaction from some of the players. Whether I believe obviously he seems to be well liked by his players. So if they've let him down a bit, you thought it might have been a reaction. And we get an 87th minute winner. I mean, it's just you can't write it. And it's funny now because I'm doing one of my sort of crazy analogies, but it feels a little bit like, like when a nation qualifies for a major tournament and they have a real like tricky qualifying campaign. And then they get to the major tournament. This is our major tournament now for me. We've got 11th for 11 weeks, 12 weeks, whatever it was. Then you get 9th. And then the fixtures are going to go one way or the other and you're drawing against Leicester and blah, blah, blah. All of a sudden we're 7th. And we've got, as someone's put in the comments, 27 points available, Marine Boy.
Yeah.
What do we think is possible? And this is our tournament now. This is our 9 games. It's a tournament. What can we do? Can we get to the latter stages of our own little mini tournament now and being with a shout of some kind of European football going into the last couple of games?
Yeah, absolutely. It's just mad. It's like you say, and I think there's a comment here from John. Also, sorry, John said great content. Love the show. We're just flying. Yeah, you summed it up perfectly there, mate. AVFC US says if we win this one, the classic Villa will start to be less of a thing, and I guess that's the here's Sam. Evening, mate. Evening, mate.
Hi, Sam.
Boys.
Good to have you on board, mate. Good to have you on board. We're just like in terms of that classic Villa kind of saying, it is going to start to be less of a thing like that sort of wasting opportunities and stuff. And we when we went into Tuesday just kind of having that confidence that we were going to win, and why can't we go into that game tomorrow with that same level of confidence? It's we're there to go out and win now, aren't we?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of them things. I think that's a result of years of being a Villa fan.
Mm-hmm.
That waiting. And if I'm being honest, I think I still have that small sense of, this could go pear-shaped. We could lose the opportunity because it was kind of a Villa thing to do, maybe even under Dean Smith, to like win big games, like beating Liverpool 7-2, and then the next week we'd go and get battered by, whoever it is that we were playing. And I think, sort of seizing opportunities, A, isn't easy for any football team, but B, isn't historically what Villa do. But I mean, I don't know. Emery's making a believer out of all of us, isn't
he? Yeah. I think every time you come on, I just think of me like going to bat for Gerrard. You coming on with a smug. You coming on with a smug smile. But look, like you must. Obviously, all fans are just amazed, are so thankful at the moment, and just. As I say, I was talking to my dad. It's the same, the same players, and you were saying, the same players can produce the goods, and it's proving correct. And I think the confidence comes from the fact that there is a real structure to how we're playing, and if generally if they stick to that structure and that kind of and those the passing moves, the sequences, the players deliver as they should, then we should be confident in these games, Sam. So we've actually got a foundation to build from, essentially.
Yeah, I think I remember for a long time, kind of, not this isn't an I told you so type thing, but I think for a long time I always mentioned that I felt like the players were undercoached. I felt like there were good players in there with ability who weren't receiving the right kind of coaching to bring out the most in their game. I mean, I've always been sort of like quite critical of players, and I remember sort of jumping on the back of John McGinn all of last season, Ollie Watkins for most of last season, and I've sort of like seen people say, no one said it to me specifically, but I've seen people say online, like, oh, where are all those people who were, talking about John McGinn? And he was shit. He was shit. I'm sorry. Buy it. He was awful for about 12 months. Ollie Watkins was awful for a long period of time.
He admitted it himself, though. That's the thing. It's not like he hasn't said that.
They weren't playing well at all. And I think what is more importantly is now obviously that they're with the correct coaching. And I actually watched your Talking Tactics after the Leicester game earlier today. So that's such an interesting watch, by the way, if anyone hasn't seen it. And it's not just that they're playing better than I thought they could be. John McGinn at the moment is beautiful to watch him play. It's like him playing in the Championship again. He's found his mojo, and I just think there are still certain players. Jacob Ramsey's one specifically for me. There's a hell of a player in there, and he needs the coaching to bring that out. Obviously, Unai Emery's managed to do incredible work with so many players in such a short space of time. I don't think we should forget how short of a time Unai Emery's been here. But there are some players who are going to still need a bit more time to get the best out of them. But I think if anyone can do it, it's Emery.
Yeah. Kev, your thoughts on kind of that sort of feeling going into games and just having that solid foundation to work from, and like Sam says, the way that a lot of players that we've discussed over the last few pods that are reacting to it.
Yeah, well, I mean, look at what's been going around a lot is that bench at Bournemouth from the first game of the season when there was Watkins on there, Louise on there, Buendia on there. I think McGinn was on there as well. Was it? No, Mings was on there. Sorry, you've got probably the four of the arguably the best players, probably the best 6 or 7 players in the team. Were not even in the team for the first game of the season, which you would expect to play your strongest team. There's no rotation going on in game one. That's the best team you've got available. And Sam, to his credit, I think Sam and I have been we're on there. Gerrard out trained a bit earlier than you. I say a bit earlier than you. We got on at Euston, you got on at Edinburgh. But, we got on at London, you got on at Vladivostok. Anyway, we'll stop the show. But I totally agree with the point Sam used to make now. Like, it's about coaching. And I probably also thought, maybe some of these players, that maybe their race was run, their goose was cooked. But with good coaching, which credit to Sam, used to make his point time and time again. With good coaching, you can see what's happened to. I mean, we're talking about McGinn here and Watkins, but look at the likes of Akonsa's form lately. Look at some of the other players around. Look at the way Ramsey. I know he's been a bit off until the recent weeks, but like lately, when you see the best of him doing what he's doing. And there's so much more to come from him. So going into games now, I still don't even think we're that convincing. And look, I think someone's put in the comments about we're due to give someone a bit of a pasting.
Duncan, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't go into games now thinking anything other than we're going to compete and we've got a chance today. And the amount, particularly of away games we've won fairly convincingly. 2-0 away at Brighton, 2-0 away at Spurs, 2-0 away at Everton. The Chelsea one. Look at that. That Chelsea one's probably the pick of the bunch. And great goals. And you've got to look at these situations and go, we're not absolutely under the cosh, getting battered. Yes, sometimes those teams have a bit more possession, but we're handling it. The confidence is coursing through the squad. And we're going into games now thinking we've got an opportunity, and you can see the team spirit as well. So we should be going into any game. I don't care whether that's Newcastle, whether that's Man United, and we should be thinking, Aston Villa's in town today, lads. Like, what you've got to go some to beat us.
Yeah, 100%. I'll just get into some of the comments. So Nick says, happy Friday, chaps. Special mention to Konsa, as you said, Kev. Much improved distribution. A few times he splits the press and gets into midfield. Much better movement by the midfield lads too. And yeah, if you've caught our talking tactics shows with Gareth, we do go into that quite a bit in terms of that midfield and the options that are available for them now, which obviously causes them to give away the ball a lot less, which is obviously better for us. Villa 1982 says, don't worry about anyone now. We've got a world-class manager who always has a tactical plan to deal with anyone. Matt says, Villa aren't looking scared. Once we score now, we look confident and structured. When in doubt, we take it to the basics, stick to our plan. It's proving to be the winning game plan. And then, yeah, people agreeing with us. If we aspire to be European comp, we need to beat teams like Forest. Yeah, we'll come on to that in a second. Still, last on match of the day, still nothing on Sky Sports and Talk Sport. They just can't wait for us to trip up in one of the Sky Six to take place. What do you think about that? Because obviously now we're starting to get a few comments about us in the press, and this is to both or either of you lads. Are you kind of thinking like it's better to come along, on the coattails, and sort of get to the finishing line, at the end, like sneaking at the back post, or are you wanting the credit now? What are your feelings on it?
I'll go first. Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of us being sneaky, but it's like my lad always gets annoyed every time we shoot at Douglas Luiz corner, because he's like, you're gonna give the game away, and I'm like, I think they know, mate. I think they know you might shoot, and we're all a bit naive to think that at some point people won't realise, the form we're in is unbelievable. 16 points from 18, and we've taken 19 points from 24 on the road, or something crazy like that. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So to think that people won't know it is probably a bit naive. And I actually think now I do want to get a bit of credit for it. But if we don't get it, then we just got to keep doing what we're doing. Straight after the Leicester game, in the car, put TalkSport on. And I mean, hardly a peep about Villa at all. Just loads of quite, juvenile banter about all sorts of stuff. But not this sense that Aston Villa have just gone away at Leicester, cemented themselves in the top 7. Where's the journalism there? 11 or so weeks in 11th. Now they're X number of points off the Champions League. So it's starting to get a little bit annoying now. And add to that, some of our players didn't get the international recognition they should have got. Look, as a Villa fan, I'm sure we all agree, let's keep the injuries away, and let's get Emery coaching them rather than Southgate. Yeah. But it does feel like we are going under the radar, and probably a little bit unfairly at times. And when you look at some of the adulation, look at some of the adulation like Newcastle are getting. I mean, they're not that far ahead of us. They haven't done anything special yet. I know they're in the top four positions, but it's almost like night and day, really. Yeah.
Sam, AVSD US has just said for us to turn our lights off behind us because there's a bit of glare. So there's a big light on there.
I'd be in the dark, and I think with my skin complexion, I'd just be floating.
Yeah.
So it's either a little bit.
Me too, mate. Me too. Yeah, yeah.
It's immature, Kev, you're fine. You're all right in any light. Yeah. So I'll apologize. Hold on. Let me try.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Sadly, the podcast budget hasn't stretched.
There you go. I've sorted it out for whoever.
There we go. It's a fair point, though.
Rich, we need a few more super chats before we can sort the
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Then we can get green screens. We can get everything. So yeah.
I think just on your point about the media, I think a lot of people are sort of are picking up on the way that we're presented by the mainstream media, and I think that underlying answer, or the obvious answer, is that it's riddled with bastards who don't want to see us succeed. And I think that just is the case. I was watching the podcast, the Guardian podcast, and Max Rushton, where they were doing the recap on the Villa Leicester game, and his actual words were verbatim. He said, "Shall we all stop this pantomime hate we have of Aston Villa now and talk about whether they're actually a decent football team?" And I don't know who the other pundit was. He was on there, and he just said, "It's very begrudging to me that Aston Villa are doing well." And generally, when any credit goes to Villa at the moment, it's generally in Unai Emery's direction, which is great because obviously he deserves, all the adulation and praise that he's getting for being a tactical genius. But I think at the same time, the players need as much credit, because it's very hard to take the ideology of someone like Unai Emery, who's very, very strict in the way that he wants to play. He's even if you look in your tactical roundup of the Leicester game, it's very difficult what he wants his players to do, and how quickly they've taken that on board and encapsulated that into their game. Where previously, even I'd say with Dean Smith and Steven Gerrard, the managers that came before them, they weren't asking them to do anything particularly difficult. It was all press high, shoot and try and get a goal. It was all about high press. There's not a lot of tactical intelligence there. So I think the players
or give the ball to Grealish.
Give the ball to Grealish, and I think the players need a lot of respect as well. But for me, I'm absolutely fine, because historically what's happened is once we started playing well, we're on people's radar. One or two things happen. People either try to analyze us more tactically and sort of sit back against Villa more, which we've never really been really good at breaking down, or people start coming in for the players. And I'm happy for everyone to discount us. I'm happy for everyone to bet against us. The famous saying, that's absolutely fine. Come the end of the season, we'll see where Villa are. And hopefully people just finish the season and go, hold on, did Villa finish fifth? Did Villa finish sixth? I'm more than happy with that. No problem for me.
100%.
You can almost imagine it, can't you? Like when we win the Premier League next season, like it'll be like they'll show a repeat of Mrs. Brown's Boys or something on BBC One, rather than Match of the Day that night. Or we'll be on last in the running order, and it'll be like, and everyone's like, it's like midnight when they have one of the late ones, and you've barely just about awake to watch the last game. It'll be like, after Villa Park now, where Aston Villa sealed the Premier League title today with a 65-0 win over Arsenal. Anyway, good night, guys. Arsenal were bad today, weren't they? Arsenal played terrible, yeah. Anyway, bye. I mean, there's going to come a point when you won't be able to not talk about us. Now, we're all probably a little bit hesitant to think, hang on a minute, the wheels might come off, and then with that kind of slight sort of like confident, cocky attitude we've got. But I don't think we are being cocky yet. I think we're like some of the other fans out there. I mean, you look at the disdain that Spurs fan had for you, Rich, on that pod. What are you doing here? Well, what the fuck are they doing? And I just think that we know a lot of our success is very historic. But, fifth most successful team ever still. Our haul of trophies is massive. One of only 5 teams to win the European Cup. I'm sure everyone watching this knows this, but I don't feel like the media and everyone out there does actually know it. So
I think it's so, Kev. Like, I don't ever feel, as a Villa fan, the need to justify how big a club Aston Villa are. My reasoning's always been, if someone doesn't know how big Aston Villa are, A, they're either a kid, or B, they know nothing about football. And either of those parties, I've got no interest in having a conversation about football with anyway.
Did you listen to the West Ham reaction pod? Did you hear about when I was sat there in the West Ham end with the ticket I managed to get with my mate? Yeah. And the woman behind me went, "Who Aston Villa anyway? What have they ever done?
No, I remember that.
Done? Honestly, I nearly forearm smashed her. Like, what have you ever done? You won the FA Cup in 1980?
No, we don't advocate for any.
Make clear that Villa Park podcast is not associated with Kevin's reviews.
Kevin's going to start his own firm and just directly attack old ladies who aren't appreciative of our.
She wasn't that old. She's about my age.
Like I said, old lady.
Just attack regular age ladies.
Honest question, boys. Actually, I'm gonna take the hosting spot from you, Rich, for a second. I actually want to get your opinion on this. Obviously, I was at the Chelsea game. I know you boys were at the Leicester game as well, and a few of the games that I've seen before that. At the Chelsea game, I've really felt like we could have been there for another week, and Chelsea wouldn't have scored. They just looked like they couldn't hit a barn door. It wasn't working for them. But at the same time, I was very aware of the number of opportunities that Chelsea were getting. And it wasn't that we were keeping them out. It's that they were wasting all of their opportunities. Like Mudryk was in one-on-one, all those opportunities. And you talk about players who have gotten better, by the way, since Emery. I don't think it's because of Emery, but Emi Martinez, since the World Cup, has been absolutely unreal.
Yeah.
And I think that's shown, and he's kind of covering over some of the cracks that we may have in defence. And I saw that in both the Chelsea game and the Leicester game and the game before that. And I'm starting to wonder, obviously, look, we're on an excellent run. Ollie Watkins is scoring. We're better than we've been in a really long time. But are either of you concerned that when you watch these games week after week, we're conceding so many opportunities? I think it's 27 shots against Chelsea.
Yeah.
We can't keep doing that. And is it papering over the cracks, or is it something that Unai Emery is expecting and he's reacting with? What do you reckon, boys?
I was definitely slightly more concerned about it from the Chelsea game, but to be honest, with that Leicester game, other than I think that obviously Barnes scored, they had a chance of a corner, and then they had a deflected effort. I don't really think they had many other chances than that. So, had it continued into that Leicester game, I would have been really concerned. I think part of it was the desperation that Chelsea had to try and just score a goal, and they were so open with a lot of their play. Essentially it was Reece James and Loftus-Cheek on that right hand side were basically playing in the same position, and Chilwell was on the other side, and it was essentially Koulibaly and Cucurella basically at the back on their own. So I think it was kind of just the way that game panned out, because you would have probably seen from being at the game more so, Sam, that every time Ramsey seemed to get the ball, he had like about 50 yards of space to run into. It was just like,
I'm not concerned about us going forward. It wasn't.
Yeah.
It's about the chances.
I know what you mean. Yeah, we do sit back a bit, and kind of once Watkins and I'd say a couple of the other players have gone to press. Once they haven't, if they haven't won the ball, like if those triggers haven't been set and a couple of the other players haven't gone, they kind of do like just drop back into position, sort of maybe let the ball come into the box, and I guess, yeah, like you say, against a top performing side, you probably wouldn't be able to play like that, because we'll just get punished constantly.
Lads, let me my take on this is I've kind of got a foot in both camps, really. I think that because we're on such a great vein of form, there's clearly still some things that that we'll need fixing in the summer. I still think we're probably a little bit weak in fullback positions, wingers definitely. I think and just cover everywhere, really. You had an injury to Watkins right now, and we would be up the creek without a paddle. However, that being said, I did think that any team going to Chelsea, I wouldn't even care who it was, they'd probably concede most of the possession and have quite a lot of shots. They were desperate to get results. If you actually look at the stats on the other, let's just look at the other away wins we had against Tottenham. Tottenham had 59 to 41% possession to their favour. We had 13 shots to their 6 and 4 to their 2 on target. Brighton, they had more possession than 65-35, but we had 8 shots to their 7. And Leicester, we had 64% possession, 15 shots to their 9. So the stats there would suggest that we're actually having better opportunities in some of these games. And admittedly, Chelsea was, I think, a bit of an anomaly. But it doesn't mean it's perfect. And I would expect that when we play teams like Man United and Newcastle and Liverpool, that they probably will have quite a bit of possession. The onus is getting more and more on Villa now to react to that. But we're going to have it soon, where we're going to have a game where we're going to lose. Look, it's not that long ago we had Leicester, the disappointing result at home. Arsenal, where we kind of threw it away a little bit at the end, and obviously Man City. So it's not that long ago we had that. It's going to come around the corner. But I don't think it's maybe as bad. I don't think we're getting peppered. And I don't know how to kind of explain this, but it feels like we're getting pressure. But as you said, Sam, Chelsea could have been going for weeks. We're getting pressured, but you're taking a goal of the quality of Harvey Barnes' goal to beat us now. And that was a fantastic goal. Or a soft penalty at West Ham. And
I think as well, you've mentioned it there. We are getting forward. We are making chances. And I've always said about Ollie Watkins, he's not the kind of one chance, one goal kind of player. He needs opportunities. And Unai Emery is so smart. What he's done is he's recognised that, and he said, "Look, stop running around everyone on the pitch. Make sure you're in the position to get yourself to get yourself chances. And I remember a few times against Chelsea, and obviously Ollie Watkins has been brilliant. I'm going to start battering him, but he still has this habit of losing the ball in certain spaces, or a heavy touch. Like even his goal against Leicester, his first touch was so bad. I thought as soon as he touched the ball, I was like, oh, it's gone. The chance is gone. But he did so well to recover it. And I think what he's done now is we're still conceding maybe the same amount of chances that we were before, although we're handling it better. And then we're just making more chances going forward. And Ollie Watkins is benefiting from that massively. So I get both your points. And obviously both of you have been to quite a few games recently, and you've seen it up close and seen the reaction. So I think that's a really interesting analysis there.
Yeah. I've got to go through some comments, and we've got to go on to previewing the Forest game. But obviously, it's just great to talk as we are at the moment with us doing so well. I'll go through comments first. Where do we start? Marine Boy Sevilla are not welcome to the European party. It seems a closed shop. T1 says Newcastle the only team I'm kind of a bit hesitant about. Nobody else. Take a 1-1 and just call it off. Yeah. Random reviews. Saw you on the Forest pod, Rich. You did a good job representing the Villa. Gary said, let's not forget the top six nearly destroyed our Premier League a couple of seasons ago, so why the hate against others? Yeah, understood. Nigel says, need Sam on more often. The fella speaks some sense. Probably a better poker player than Kev as well.
Sorry, Kev.
AVFC US never mentioned on the overlap. I don't actually watch the overlap one. I've not seen that one.
For good reason, by the sound of it.
Imagine Chelsea go down further and Sky only show bottom 7 or something. Yeah. I'll be honest with the definition of football royalty, and I'm completely fine going under the radar.
100%.
Yeah, Sam makes a good point. I used to think most of our players lacked football intelligence, but really it was lack of coaching. Roll your sleeves up, look me in the eye and produce magic is not coaching. And the same again from random reviews. So that I said all along, these players are all profile, bought on the condition they can grow and improve. It was going well under Dino, but we hit a wall under Gerrard, and Emery will elevate them even more. Just the start of the journey.
What are they supposed to do when Gerrard's telling them they should be getting battered by Chelsea?
Yeah. The Midlands has been down in the dumps for a while now. Hopefully things are changing. Yeah, Villa will finish top Midlands club, says Dunk. A lot of stuff about Lampard back at Chelsea. That's a bit of a strange decision. We have the right to be confident. Our team and coaches are earning that status. It's not cocky. Chelsea team in decline. Villa and Newcastle are on the up. Yeah, Adam said if Mudryk had scored that chance, I think we'd have lost by a few, but momentum and confidence is definitely a big thing. Yeah, goals change games. Well done, Kev. Spot on, says Nigel. There we go.
Nigel. Love that.
What have we got here? Should see a change at the top of the table. Rod says, don't care about the football punditry. I care about Villa fan channels like this one. Much higher quality coverage here than on TV. Hey, how about that? That's Cheers, fantastic. Cheers, Rod. We'll have that any day of the week, mate. Yeah, as there, great Villa fan channels around. Hopefully we're one of them, and you guys hopefully enjoy it. So hit that like button, subscribe if you're new, and if you do want to donate to the channel, then please hit that $sign in the chat and get your super chat read out, or if you just wanted to donate. So boys, let's get on to Forest. Like I say, I was on Mr. Door. He's quite a big Forest YouTuber. I was on his channel yesterday. He's a really nice guy. They're on a bad run at the moment. I think they've lost. I don't think they've won in the last 9. They've only won 1 away game all season. We talk about this kind of typical Villa type style, but we can't waste this, can we?
The last time Forest won was the 5th of February. That was against Leeds 1-0. That's the last time.
I think the last time they won away was against Southampton as well.
Yeah, it was.
They've only won 1 away once all season, haven't they? I mean,
I think we always used to say,
I always for that, mate. Thank you so
cheers,
much.
Rod. Good lad.
Cheers, Rod.
I always used to say that if a team was on a bad run of form, the best team that they could play was Villa. We were that springboard to get teams back in form. Obviously, the game has changed now. Forest will be obviously Steve Cooper. He's fighting for his life, supposedly, according to the media. No one else seems to be pressuring him. The Forest fans don't, the owners don't, but the media are making it seem as if he's on the brink, he's on ice.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think we should expect a good game from Forest because their players actually, the likes of Brennan Johnson, Gibbs White, even Dennis up front. Dennis has always caused us issues.
He scored against us in their home game.
Real son of a bitch to play against, like horrible, like always just seems to get in those positions. But I think, and I've got a soft spot for Forest. I think they're a very similar club to Villa. They've got a really rich history. I went to University of Nottingham as well, so I know the city well. And I know kind of what the football club means to that city. So I've got a lot of time for Forest. That being said, I hope we batter them. And I want to see another manager get sacked after a beating by the Villa. I don't care.
After all those compliments, I just want to stamp on their neck.
I hope they stay up. I really do.
Do you remember that character on the Fast Show that used to be like, someone would be like, oh, Kylie Minogue, I hate Kylie Minogue, she's terrible. And someone would go, I actually quite like Kylie Minogue. And he'd go, oh, Minogue's fantastic. Yeah, I love Minogue. That's just what you did, Sam.
No, do you know what it is? Like,
how great they are, and you've just basically you want to piss in their grave now.
It's not. It's if anything, it's for the Villa. Like if you're making me choose, Forest got off, and I want us to go there, and I want us to really put pressure on them early doors. I want to take the wind out of the sails, and I want to shut down any idea of of a resurgence or immediately, and then they can carry on next week and play whoever they play, and fingers crossed they stay in the league because I do like having that team about. But they're there for the taking, Rich. There's no two ways about it. We need to go in. 100%. It's a game that has to be won, and the implications of winning as well. People will stop counting us out if we win games like that historically we may have lost.
Absolutely. Kev, we're on the brink of nine points in a week, 4 games in a row. 4 wins in a row, sorry. And it's I know Forest have got 1 or 2, pretty good players, and I really like Brennan Johnson, but we've got to go into this game. We get an early goal, and I think it's pretty much game over, to be honest.
Yeah, well, Emery talked about it in his press conference as well, how he wants us to to click and produce a performance. Basically, that was the words to that effect at home. I don't want to get carried away too much, but I do think if you're a team aspiring to be top 6, top 8, then at some point you've got to be beating a team who are relegation fodder by at least 2-3 goals. It's going to happen. And I've got a feeling that the players, they're on such a high. Yeah, Forest are fighting for the lives, but they're so bad away from home now. I can't think they could be expecting to get anything. The only team they beat is the bottom team. And that's probably the reason why Southampton are bottom. It's the only team they've beaten away from home all season. So they've got, and week after week after week, they've got must-win games. They need to get points. Even Cooper's come out himself and said he knows they're not good on the road. So my perspective is very much they're bad away from home. We're on a great run of form. Confidence is really high. And I also think we can send a bit of a message before that Newcastle game. You beat Forest convincingly. Look what they did to West Ham. West Ham weren't actually that bad, and they got battered 5-1.
No, Newcastle just really clinical, and obviously West Ham made two or three horrendous errors. But yeah, we put that much pressure on a Forest side. It's there for us to produce that result. A lot of people in the chat are talking about the 5-5 result and saying Gary said it'd be good. If we can't win, it'd be good to get that 5-5 again. But I wouldn't take a 5-5. Hey, Dunk said it should have been 7-5.
I'm not a prolific bettor, right? But I went to that game, and I was trying to log into my betting app just to have a little bet on a Villa 2-1 win McGinn to score first, right? And we with the kind of slight signal problems in the ground. By the time I'd logged into my phone, into the app, we were already 2-0 down in that game. It was 3-3 after half an hour. I mean, what? Yeah. Joe Lolly should have won the Ballon d'Or for that game alone. He scored an absolute worldie and got 4 assists in a 5-all draw. So I hope it isn't anywhere near as frantic as that. I hope there's 10 goals in the game, but I hope at least 9 of them are for us.
I will say this though, boys. By the time that the final whistle went against Leicester, I was in bits. Like my son was upstairs sleeping. I was trying not to make any noise. When the penalty was given, Traore's goal, I couldn't help it. I woke him up. I got in a lot of trouble with my missus. I'd really enjoy having a really chilled out 2-0 by in coast for the rest of the game, because even at Chelsea as well, it was a lot. McGinn scored quite late on in the second half. Before that, they're battering us chances. Oh man, it's a tough time.
It's not good. It's not. Yeah, it's not good for the
Never
heart, is
easy.
it? It's
It's
not good for
never
the
easy.
heart. No,
And I'm
no.
getting old. Villa have done me a favour. It was my birthday yesterday, so my birthday week has been absolutely full of Villa wins. So I'm hoping we could round off the week with a, with a lovely 9-pointer. But I think Kev's right. Really, we should be going to Forest. We should be taking control of that game. Should be having majority of possession, and I think up front, Forest are dangerous, and they're dangerous on the transition as well. But I think defensively they're quite lapsed. Also, what happened to Jesse Lingard? Does he still play there? Am I missing something? Does he
He's
play?
still there. I don't know if he's maybe injured or something, but he's still there. But yeah, I think that was a failed move in the end, wasn't it? Really, I know Gibbs White has done quite well, and one or two of the other players, but yeah, I think that was a bit of a failure.
I'm also starting now. I don't know if you boys have done this. When we play sort of teams who are in that relegation scrap, I'm window shopping. I like to say, like, if they go down, I'll tell you what, Harvey Barnes would be on that list because he was the only player at Leicester, maybe Maddison as well, who kind of showed a bit of quality. I'm having a look at Brennan Johnson tomorrow. Again, I don't want to wish any bad luck on.
He's certainly got an eye for goal. He probably needs to. He probably needs to put a bit of bulk on, but he's certainly got an eye for goal. I mean, 7 or 8 goals already this season. Yeah.
For where Forest are, that return for a winger.
Yeah.
Jared Bowen for me. If they go, Jared Bowens, I've been so impressed with him. I was so impressed with him in the 1-1 draw we had. I thought it was great. Actually, the other night, even though they ended up getting beat, he was consistently at the fullback, getting crosses in. I think he's a real talent, but Bowen be one for me. I think Gibbs White's a really good player as well. You've got some good players around that. Madison, you called out as well, is another one. I think he's almost been linked consistently to Spurs and Newcastle, so maybe he might go there. But Harvey Barnes is another one. I think with proper coaching, Harvey Barnes was one the other night. They talked about the stats, didn't they? The stats in terms of, maybe his output in other areas isn't that good. You get a proper coach behind him. He's absolutely rapid. He's got an eye for goal. He's skillful. I think he could be a real potent force.
I think it's quite telling now. Some of the players that I'm looking at, I'm like, do you know what? Villa have got the money. They kind of, if they get into Europe, they've got the stature to go for this player. And I'm starting to realise that a lot of the players that that I really like and I'd love to see linked with Villa are being linked with the likes of United, Spurs, Newcastle, those going for Champions League spaces. And I think it just kind of shows how far we've come. When did he join? When did Emery join? What was it? November,
November the 1st or something.
It's been 5 months and we've gone from relegation fodder to battling with Spurs and Newcastle for players and champions.
It's a bit like that 97-98 season or 96-97 season when Gregory first came in and we went on a mad run and then got up to like 7th or something in the table, and then the season after we were challenging for the title right up until just after Christmas.
I think across that calendar year, I think we would have been top of the league. Possibly.
Yeah.
Not to like January to December. We just couldn't piece together the two right segments. You know what I mean?
No, I know. We'll come to the starting lineups in a minute. I'll just go through some comments because Forest are getting, Forest are rightly getting quite a bit of love, and I've got a bit of soft spot for them, much like you, Sam. I like them being back in the Prem. Random review says Dan Bardell said Cook was calm and relaxed. It's everyone else talking pressure, but we all know it's a results game. AVFC US says pacey direct wingers will cause us problems. Adam says you'd think they'll be hungry if they go down. They're screwed with that wage bill and all those signings. CC, who's joining us, says even if Forest go down, they'd need Cooper to bounce back up. And Rachel says, I do hope Forest survive. They can start picking up points after us. Yeah, definitely. Adamski says Forest are literally the only club out of all the others I don't hate, but I hope we still thrash them. Pretty much what you said, Sam. Gary says, I don't want any Midlands teams relegated. Hopefully Saints, Bournemouth and Leeds. I'll come to some questions at the end. Adamski says relegate London, Chelsea, West Ham and Palace would be ideal.
I think
Chelsea will get relegated.
You've got to be a certain age, I think, to really have the kind of nostalgia that we've got for Forest, because admittedly, we weren't around when they won the European Cups, but we would have been grown up in football, remembering them winning League Cups and, getting the cup finals, and at the end of Brian Clough. And mate, when Rich, you and obviously we went to the Forest away game, that picture of us, looking a bit scornful at each other. But I loved it, going to the city
ground. Yeah, great ground. Yeah,
ground, going past the Clough Chippy, whatever, all the Cloughie's Cobs, whatever it's called, and you get a sense of the nostalgia of what a proper club they are. So I do think Nottingham Forest, I think it'd be an interesting actually thing to do one day, maybe on the pod or with some of the comments, to get everyone to say, what 20 teams do you think you'd put in your Premier League? We could almost do that in the chat. But
good idea.
Forest would be in there for me, definitely.
That being said, Kev, I went to a pre-season friendly Villa Forest years ago, the year Benteke left and went to Liverpool. And I was at this beautiful stadium I've never been to before. It was when I was living in Nottingham as well for uni, and I thought I'd go down. And the fans started singing. I thought it was a bit harsh in a pre-season friendly. They started singing, "Where's your Benteke gone?" And that hurt me emotionally, I'm not going to lie. So I think if we do batter them, I'm going to channel that energy of them mentioning Benteke abandoning us and going to Liverpool, because that one hurt. And I've never forgiven and forgotten that from the Forest fans. But no, you're right. They're a wonderful club. I think they're really similar to Villa. I think it's the same with Everton. Everton are a very similar club to Villa. They haven't won what we've won, but they kind of like got good standing. They're they're a well-supported club, famous ground, and fingers crossed for Forest after the Villa game.
Yeah. What happened to Lolly, says Gary. I actually saw him playing in the A-League this morning on the telly. He's playing for Sydney FC in the Australian A-League. CC said, "I've confidence in our abilities." Yeah, but we cannot underestimate Forest. We need to bring our best team as they will compete for every ball.
I don't think Emery will let us underestimate anybody.
Nah,
I think we're confident on here, but it goes without saying for me, professional performance needed.
Yeah.
Did you see him on the laptop in the bus on the way back from Leicester? He was on board. Don't worry about Emery, mate. We might be sitting here on our holidays and enjoying Good Friday, but
he's on it, mate. He's on it.
He's cooking up a potion.
Yeah. To be fair, he's got nothing else to do at the Belfry, so like he might as well just crack on with the work.
Happy birthday, Deco.
Yeah, Deco, same as you, mate. Right, okay, so let's get into Rich. Rich is in the house. Evening, Rich. Great to have you on board, mate. Let's get into. Coutinho's injured. Yeah, let's get into the team news, because obviously we had some information about players. So Kamara's still out, unavailable after being taken off at halftime from the Chelsea game. Matty Cash isn't back yet as well, and Philippe Coutinho isn't back. Incidentally, though, it looks like they could be coming back at a similar time. Emery hinted at the fact that it's about 10 days to 2 weeks for Kamara, and he said that's about the same timescale for Cash and Coutinho. So when we talk about these games coming thick and fast, it'll obviously be good, Kev, to have, fingers crossed, touch wood, a fully fit squad to choose from when all these games are coming, against the teams around us. You want to have options available to utilise.
Well, the one other thing I think you can say is a weakness of ours is our bench. Really, at times we've actually only had eight players on the bench, and obviously could have more. We've had a couple of keepers pretty much every game under Emery, pretty much. So, that those players come back to have a fully fit squad. You're going to need it. You're going to need it, because if there is a game when Buendia is off the ball, you can bring on a Coutinho. You've got more options in terms of if Ashley Young's. A lot of games, he's 37-year-old legs. I know he's pretty fit, but Cash did well when he came back in. So. And as much as we have missed Kamara, I think he's a real asset to have around, isn't he? So, because once you go beyond that, you are looking at a Chambers and a Dendoncker, and I think all of us probably feel a bit like, are they mobile enough? So, fully fit squad's what we need, and that's just to get to the end of this season. I'm just really excited about what our squad will look like after Emery's had a window to do his stuff.
I think as well, Rich, and it'd be really interesting if people put down in the comments if they'd like to see this, but. The only question I have on Emery is his utilisation of youth players. So what I was thinking is what we could do is do a pod where we assess all of the youth players that we have on loan and see how they've done this season, and say whether we think Emery should keep and integrate into the squad or do a Chukwuemeka and get rid for loads of money. But I think that's the one thing we talk about, leaving spaces off the bench. And I don't know, boys, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Kane Kessler-Hayden's back. But I don't think there are some squad, like match day squads, where Emery's decided not to take not to fill a vacant space rather than take a youngster. And for me, I don't like that. I love the integration of young players, the likes of the Jacob Ramseys. I'm super excited to see what Aaron Ramsey and Cameron Archer. Obviously, I'm the president of the Cameron Archer fan club. And I will always go to bat for that guy because he just oozes class and he shows it everywhere he goes.
Yeah.
But my concern is that he's not really about the integration of young players and more about maybe trying to find players that he likes in the transfer window.
I think.
Well, don't forget he did give Saka and Smith Rowe their debuts for Arsenal. So he did blood those into the Arsenal team.
I think there's probably 2 points to it. I think he'll probably have a pre-season to assess them and see where they are with them. I think probably Keenan Davis is probably gone and maybe one or two others, but I think he'll certainly have a look at Archer, Eric Bonham, Ramsey, Bogard, who's doing well at Bristol Rovers. I think he'll certainly have a look at those guys. But also, if we do get into that Europa Conference League, or if we do, even probably to some extent the Europa League, it's a great like training ground for those younger players, particularly that Conference League. Like that's where you could give the likes of Archer a run out and Eric Bonham a run out because you're going to have to use them. So in a lot of ways, getting into European competition will ironically probably make it easier for him to keep those younger players.
But do you want to keep them players and stop their development for the sake of playing a game in Slovakia once every 4 weeks?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point because we've said a few times, there's the argument as to what the kind of academy is set up for. Like obviously you want to bring players through to the first team. You understand that not all of them are going to make it, but at the very least you want to get money for them. So when do you say, right, we get 12 to 15 million in for say for a Cameron Archer, for argument's sake, do you say, right, okay, we'll take that and reinvest, along with say a 10 million for a Keenan Davis?
That's been the business model for clubs like Man City. They brought players through their youth academies and they sold them without having ever even really played them. Jadon Sancho, is a good example of that. Someone who they brought up, and there's a number of them, ex-Man City sort of youth players scattered around Europe at the moment. And sometimes they become players and sometimes they don't. The difference is when they do become players, Man City have the power to buy them back and the ability to attract them. Whereas Villa, maybe if we sell Cameron Archer now for 15 mil and then he goes on to score 20 goals with Middlesbrough next season or whatever he may do, we want to bring him back. Are we going to pay the 40, 50 million we have to spend for a 22-year-old who gets those kind of numbers in the Premier League? Probably not.
Yeah, I think he's got a choice to make because you're right. You could have a ready-made player that can come in and be a good striker as opposed to trying to go out and get one from Europe. Who knows? It's an interesting question, and definitely one exploring on another pod episode to evaluate the youth players, academy players, and see what we would do with them, and maybe put a valuation on them as well. I think it's a great point.
I think you've got to be confident, haven't you, as well, that Emery is doing. He knows what he's doing. You've got to be confident that if he thinks they're good enough, then he'll play them, he'll blood them, and if he thinks we can save ourselves a bit of cash in the transfer market and and help out with FFP by maybe bringing in an Archer or an Aaron Ramsey or whoever it might be, or a Tim, then I think he'll do it. I think at the moment, he's walked on water for me, Emery, and he's done no wrong. With that team, other than the addition of Alex Moreno, really, he's taken that team from, level with relegation spots to a few points off.
No, I agree, Kev. I agree, and this is just something that I'm so into the idea of one of our own and a young player to come through. So, everyone watching, honestly, please do put your thoughts about that in the comments because I really will read them, and I want to see if it's just me who's kind of naive enough to think that all of these players, because they've shown incredible ability, that they'd actually be good enough to be integrated into the squad in some dimension.
That's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing. It's a big jump from Championship to Premier League, and then it's an even bigger jump to play well consistently in the Premier League at such a young age.
We've seen it so much at Villa though, with the likes of Jack and Jacob Ramsey, and we've always had young players come through at Villa, whether it's ones that we've taken chances on. Even Ashley Young, when he first came to us from Watford, he was a scrawny little nothing and went on to achieve great things in the game. Gabby Agbonlahor. We've seen it at Villa. We have previous with young players. So I'd like to see it. But yeah, anyway, we'll do that on another podcast.
Yeah, it's honestly the comments coming in. We've got 70 people watching. We've had over 70 tonight, which is amazing. Please do make sure you hit that like button, guys, and please do subscribe if you're new. We've just broken the 1200 barrier at a point today. We've got a competition running on our Twitter page, so check out our pinned tweet to win a Villa shirt of with a chance of winning a Villa shirt of your choice with a player name and number on the back of your choice. All you need to do is make sure you're following us on Twitter, retweet that tweet, and make sure you subscribe to the channel, and we'll announce the winner on our match reaction show, which will hopefully be a victory against Tottenham Forest. But yeah, teams. I will come back to comments, guys. There's so many coming in. Get your lineups in. What you think they'll be. Sam, I'll come to yours first if you want to talk through your starting lineup, mate.
I think it's pretty self-explanatory with no Kamara. It's the same. It's exactly what's come before, except and I'm surprised I haven't heard Kev talk about Bailey yet at all. But I feel watching Bailey over the last few weeks, he's been quite ineffective, and I don't think it's through a lack of trying. I just think he's in a rut, and I think maybe a good way for him to get out of that rut would be to be given a break. So my options were either put Traore on, he's going to be full of confidence after what's just happened, or move Buendia over to the right and start Duran, give him a run out with Watkins. Because like we say, we should be going in for the kill, go for the jugular against Forest, and playing two strikers is a great way to do that. I don't think Emery will change his system too much. So Traore on the right. But if I'm being honest, what I expect is the same team that started against Leicester.
Nice. Kev, your thoughts on your team? I think that's pretty much the same, is it?
I think it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Sam, I deliberately didn't really want to mention our Jamaican winger. He's become a bit like Macbeth for me. God, I've said it. Sorry, I've said it. I didn't want to.
Don't say that before the game tomorrow.
Yeah,
you've said the Scottish play before the game tomorrow.
Oh,
right. The episode of Blackadder. What's going on? Are we going to have to start thinking our noses? Kev, you know what? Actually, just quickly on Bailey, he was absolutely buzzing for Traore, and he was really into that spirit at the end of the Leicester game.
Yeah, it was good to see that.
Do you not? Because I know we give him a lot of shit for not being very good at football, but do you not just feel like, do you know what, he's part of it? I want to back him. I want him to succeed.
Yeah, I do feel that.
Him and his whole family. So do you want to expand on that?
I do feel like he's part of it, because while the window's shut, what else can we do? Let's just get him on board the train and let's get to the station. Let's get to the summer, though, and just get a better winger who can also be part of the squad and also be part of the teamwork. No sentiment for me. Sam, I totally agree, by the way. I don't think he'll change the team from what he did the other night. Although I do think that Bailey's been ineffective, and therefore that's why I'd give Traore a go, because
that being said, it's 3 games in a week. So maybe some players need a rest.
Yeah. Maybe.
Although there's no European football for them, there's no League Cup for them, no FA Cup for them. So, there's been
they've got a week off after this, haven't they? But it's whether Ashley Young can play 3 games in a week, whether he freshens it up in midfield. But then if Ashley Young doesn't play, who comes into that right
I think he plays Chambers at right back, because he said previously that he can, but Ashley Young was absolutely blowing against Chelsea. Like when he went off the pitch, I remember he posted on Instagram saying, "I need an ice bath," and and then against Leicester, I mean, he had a really hard time against Harvey Barnes as well. So I mean, Ashley Young, fair play to him. He's done a fantastic job this season, and he's won the fans over. I don't know if you remember when he left. Like now they singing "Aye Ashley, Ashley Young." They used to sing something different when he went to Man United. I don't know if anyone else remembers it, but he's changed his fortunes around at Villa, and
I know. It's mad.
I don't think he can play 90 minutes in a week. I just don't.
Yeah,
think it's
possible. Yeah. Well, we'll see. Villa 1982 says Martinez, Moreno, Mings, Carlos, Konza, Louise McGinn, Ramsey, Emmy, Buendia, Duran, and Watkins. Wow, a few changes there.
Would love a Duran.
Yeah, we'd love Duran. Someone on Twitter said, for obvious reasons, I only want Duran to score twice in the game.
Love that.
Very good.
But I think Emery said that he doesn't think Carlos is ready. So
No.
I
I'd
think
like
he
to see
did
him come
say
on though. If we could
more
get
minutes,
3 or
though.
4-0 up, I'd love to see him come on.
I think he did say that he was planning on giving him some minutes in the upcoming games. But the problem is, you've got, I'd say Tyrone Mings and Ezri Konsa, that they're two different ways of like knocking a guy out. Ezri Konsa is like a discreet little karate chop in the back of the neck, and Tyrone Mings is a full-on punch in the face. So that they're two defenders who do very different. They do the same thing, but in very different ways. And I don't see how you drop either of them. Where does he go, Carlos?
No, exactly. Yeah. I don't know. We'll hope, I'd want to see him play like towards the end of the season, but at the moment, I mean, you've said, Sam, like Konsa and Mings up there at the moment, touch wood, with one of the best centre half partnerships in the Premier League at the minute.
I think they're as good as anybody at the moment right now. The recent form, the last 6 games we've had, a fantastic goal from Barnes and then a soft penalty at West Ham. That's the only goals we've conceded, and a lot of away games too.
Yeah. Sorry, mate. I was just going to say, Konsa's spatial awareness as well is back to its best. It's back to what we saw a couple of years ago. I think it was against Chelsea. There was 2-on-1, just Konsa on his own. And the way he managed that situation, no one can dribble past him. And he does make mistakes, Konsa. He's not perfect, but he's just so assured that players aren't going to get past him. And when he does make the tackle, he very rarely gives away a foul as well. He's a really smart player, Konsa. He's absolutely brilliant. And I know that a lot of people disagree with me, and it'd be interesting to see what the listeners actually think as well. But if I was to drop one of them, I'd drop Mings.
Ooh. Well, it's a similar profile player, isn't it? A Carlos and a Mings. They're that talisman type player, but Mings at the moment is just inspirational.
If I was to drop one of them,
I think Mings for me would be the first name on the team sheet, even ahead of Martinez. I think Mings is so important to this team when he plays, and when he doesn't play, I just think there's such a lack of leadership. I just think that alone is enough for him to be like.
I agree, and I think. Sorry, let me clarify my statement. If I was to remove Mings and put in Carlos, it would only be because I think Ezri Konsa is a better footballer than Tyrone Mings. I think he's actually technically better, but in terms of his contribution to the team, Kevin, I think you're absolutely right. I don't think he is as influential as Mings, but who knows?
Yeah.
We'll wait and see.
Yeah. A few comments just around the team and players' impact, and then we'll get into some stats. So I think Bailey will come off the bench and score. Hopefully, that'll be good. Gary says we've had our trousers pulled down with Bailey. At least Buendia is improving. Matt Sly says McGinn Bailey's position, bring on Dendoncker in the CDM position. Not a bad shout. Bailey will click at some point, says Nigel. I've got some comments around the academy, which we'll touch on towards the end of the show, lads. CC says, love Bailey. We all want him to succeed, but he needs what Watkins has had, intense coaching. He needs to be able to overtake players. I also wonder if he has lost some pace since being injured.
No, good point.
I think they're all good points. Nick's off for a pint. Thanks for the chat. Superb. Enjoy your pint, mate. Happy Easter. Thank you for watching. Just hope Carlos is right. We don't need another Micah Richards yet. 100%. And put Konsa at right back. A few people are saying when Carlos is in. Greg says the luxury of being able to say, how do we start Carlos is such an underrated thing. Facts. Yeah. Whoa. That is amazing, mate. Yeah. Absolutely.
Can I just make a quick point on this as well? Look at our signings, right? Under Gerrard. We signed Bednarek. He's gone back to Southampton. Dendoncker doesn't get in the team. Kamara's injured. Carlos is injured. And Coutinho's injured. So other than Moreno, none of them are making any impact on the team at all, really. I mean, Kamara obviously has a lot this season, but even at the moment, we're basically going with the same squad that Steven Gerrard at the start of the season. Same team.
I see. Yeah. Firstly, Rich, you must think that our audience is really good at speed reading, because even I'm struggling to keep up.
Sorry. I'll try and get through them. But ones that I will read or not read.
On Greg's point, I just want to clarify. I wouldn't change either of them. I love Mings where he is, and I love Konsa where he is. But I'm just thinking about getting Carlos in without changing that whole system. But agree to disagree. It was a controversial statement. I did say it before I said it. But I think
it's like that meme that's on Twitter with I don't know if it's Shrek or Frozen or what, where the guy standing there at the cartoon with all the knives like that we at him, and it's like,
you know what?
Name a controversial opinion.
I don't think there's a wrong answer, because I think there are things that Konsa is better than Mings at, and vice versa. Mings is better at that kind of last second throw his body in front of the ball, last ditch challenge. And I think Konsa's a more intelligent centre back. That's just my opinion. But
that's why it's such a good partnership. That's why it's such a good partnership.
Yeah, exactly. They work well together.
Yeah. I was going to say, I actually think Mings is better on the ball than Konsa. I think Mings goes forward with the ball better. I think he looks more confident with it. I think Mings is technically better than Konsa. I think Konsa is a great footballer, but I actually think Mings is better. But that's different opinions, I guess.
That's what I'm saying.
I think just what Greg said before about how do we fit Carlos. Look, because Carlos was signed as our main centre back, and now we're struggling to get him. Like, we can't get him in.
Remember, he was brought in to replace Mings. Just say it wasn't Konsa he was brought in to replace. It was to replace Mings, and I completely agree. Everyone's saying in the chat, all the praise that Mings is getting, they're absolutely right. He has been fantastic, and I'm surprised he didn't go away with England. But I just think the intelligence that Ezri Konsa has, and the way he can defend the ball when he's behind the player, like I've not seen. There are not many players who can do that. So I take the point, and I'll even concede defeat if someone really wants to press the issue.
Mate, but it's not a defeat. It's a great point.
The thing with Carlos was, it was supposed to be for those progressive passing, wasn't it? At defense, as well as everything else, dangerous in the box, great defender, but his range of passing was supposed to be a level above Konsa and Mings. And actually, I think Mings' range of passing seriously improved. He's played quite a few pings, which have actually been good balls.
Would you boys say that Gerald actually had a masterstroke there by taking the captaincy off Mings, because it has seemed to work?
It's probably. I think it's probably one of those that was an unintended success. It turned out to be an unintended success. He did
specifically say, "I'm taking away the captaincy in the hopes that it will release some pressure and he can just play his game." And I think.
But then he dropped him, didn't he, as well? So you're going to do that fine, but then he put him on the bench as well. So
he did. Yeah. We'll go into some stats, then we'll get your predictions, and you guys in the chat get your predictions in for Saturday and what you think the score line is going to be. While I'm getting the screen shared, please do hit that like button, guys. Please do. Subscribe to the channel, and if you want to send us a super chat or donate to the channel, then just hit that $sign, and massively appreciate it. The chat tonight has been amazing in there. I can't keep up, to be fair. But head to heads, so we've only played obviously played quite a few times in the Championship over recent years, but in the Premier League we've only played 11 times. We've got a pretty good record, boys. We've won 5 in total, 3 at home, 2 away, 5 draws. And Forest have only won once, which was away from home. Recent meetings in the Prem. So obviously this season, a 1-1 draw, which me and Kev were at. We beat 2-0 in 1999, drew 2-2 in 98, and 0-0 in 1997, and beat 2-0 in 96. That tells you stats. That doesn't tell you anything, does it?
Not at all.
Recent form, though. I mean, look at that for us, and then obviously, looking at Forest there. I guess the point is they do tend to score every game. They've scored in every game there, and those 5. But they've conceded, more than 2 or more in 4 out of those last 5 games. So I think you made the point, Sam, that they are dangerous, but they are open at the back and will definitely give you chances.
Yeah, they do score goals. It's quite clear to see. They've got it in them, but defensively, they're just open. They're there to be had.
Yeah, and Kev, just looking at our form, I mean, 3 clean sheets out of 5, only 2 goals conceded, scored again in every one of those 5 games. Haven't we scored in every game that Emery's been manager in?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can't ask for much better form than that, can you?
Unbelievable, mate. Absolutely unbelievable.
Gutted about that draw against West Ham, actually. That still bugs me, because that wasn't a penalty. And we should have won that. We should have 5 on the bounce.
Yeah. Looking at the season so far, so obviously we've now won 13 games. We're We've broken the curse of 11th position. We're in 7th now. Obviously, Forest just above the relegation zone in 17th. We've drawn 5. They've drawn 9 games. So they do draw quite a few. Lost 11 for Villa, lost 14 for Forest. Average goals scored now is creeping up for us, 1.34 goals per game. They're only at 0.83, so less than a goal per game they're scoring at the minute. They're conceding nearly 2 per game, which their stats obviously show that. We're only at 1.38. 9 clean sheets now for us, 7 for Forest. And we've kind of quite considerably more chances created in the match. They've not, I mean, their worst defeat obviously was 6-0 against Man City, but they've never really been, other than the Man City game, I can't remember them being thrashed too many times, lads.
No, I don't think they've been absolutely battered too many times. But look, I know they've maybe scored in a few fixtures against us recently, but they are. I think Everton, Southampton have scored 23 goals, and Wolves as well, and Forest have scored 24. So they've one of the lowest scorers in the league. Not even getting a goal a game, and they've conceded. The goal difference is minus 28. So only Bournemouth at minus 30 have got a worse goal difference. So I'm not fazed by it. I mean, you can't be complacent at all. But I'm really confident in that. If we play anywhere near, even if we play badly, I think we can beat Forest at home.
Yeah. And looking at the goal scorers, obviously Ollie Watkins on a great run of form at the moment, 11 goals. Talk of new contract as well in the offing, so that'll be good to get him tied down on a new deal. Assists, Morgan Gibbs-White with 5 assists, same as Louise and Watkins. Ezri Konsa, top of the passing charts, just under Tyrone Mings, just under, and Louise as well. Which again, if you watch those talking tactics shows,
so Konsa's above Mings in that. Okay, that's fine.
I think it's 8 passes.
Boys.
Yeah. If you watch those talking tactics shows, you'll realise that triangle there of passing is really important for Villa, and McGinn and Ramsey in there in the tackling stats. So I think again those just highlight that we're in great run of form, and we should be going into this game looking strong for a victory. So boys, I'll come to you. Let's just circle back before I get kind of score predictions, because we get them in the chat as well, guys, and I'll read them out just before we finish. Obviously, we got into the academy chat, and we got a few comments that are stars. So Dan said, "I'm still not convinced that Archer can do it at the top level, but Irig Bonham, I think, will be a star."
I'd be interested to see when we do that podcast. If I'd love it if Dan could join and like expand on that as to what he's not seeing from Archer. I'd love that. That'd be really interesting.
Yeah. Villa 1982 said, "I'd get rid of Dendoncker, keep Tim instead." That might be something that is considered. Not all of them will, and that's okay. We have to be better at the sell-on clauses, etc. If we let them go as a business, Emery will have to coach to his methods first, then we'll judge, which is a good point from Rachel. Gary said, "I would keep Archer out of everyone else, but would he stay now he gets regular football?"
If Villa in Europe were a big enough club that he would, that's the reality of it. Cameron Archer is a player that is really liked by a lot of teams. But if Villa, the club that he sort of came up with, and if they're reaching these dizzying heights, and there's a chance of him being involved, and I think ultimately any young player needs to know that if they outperform whoever's playing, as Kane did all those years ago, that they will get that spot, and that I think that needs to be the case at any club, that any spot's up for grabs. Once your form goes, once there's someone else coming in putting pressure on you, it's whoever is best for the team, and there's no allegiances and there's no loyalties to individual players. It's all about, are you doing what you're asked to do? Are you producing? And if not, that's fine, but there's someone else waiting to take your spot if not.
Yeah. Villa 1982 said, "I would keep Tim, Ramsey and Archer." And I do think that the objective for the academy this season is to have them work on Emery's style of playing, evaluate them at the end of the season, promote those ready for the first team versus loans or sell. And based on that point, I think I can't go right back to it, but I'm pretty sure Rachel was talking about a director of football. And I know there was talk, Kev, about approaching, I think, Barcelona's director of football, one or two other clubs. I think Sevilla's director.
Is he frozen for you, Kev?
Right, yeah, he's frozen. Right, let's say what we really think about him.
Football. I mean,
do
you think that's going to be a key? Am I back?
Rich,
Yeah.
Rich, you froze totally in 5 seconds.
I'm
We were just about to go in hard, and you get all the comments from the people watching to say what they really think of you, and then you came back to life.
Yeah, Virgin Media still doing stuff outside. I don't know what's been going on.
Kevin was like, "Rich is a real piece of," and then you came.
I heard it. I heard him. What I was saying was, Emery talked about, there's been rumours about director of football coming. I think Rachel commented on it earlier about, and we've looked at Barcelona's director of football. We've looked at Sevilla's, I think, director of football who left, and there was various others. Do you think that's a key position that we need to look at for next season?
I think to get to that next level now, I mean, I think Langer has been obviously a little bit maligned at times, but I guess you could look at some of the stuff that's happened. Whether it's the sale of Chukwuemeka, bringing in Moreno, all the things obviously he's been involved in, which have worked really well. But I think that they'll be looking to get a real top level one now if they want to aspire to be knocking on top 6 door, which I know we are right now. Then I think there needs to be someone of the right kind of pedigree. And you'd imagine with Emery and the links, they probably want someone with that. Probably that sort of like, that European pedigree, looking at the Spanish, Portuguese, that kind of those kind of leagues. So it wouldn't surprise me at all.
I've got no opinion on it. I've seen their director of football work. I've seen it not work. The only thing I would say is I don't want anyone to come in who's going to hinder Emery and what he's trying to do. I don't want someone to come in and it to be a power struggle and Jimmy Big Bollocks. Just bring in someone who's going to collaborate with Emery and make sure that identity that he's trying to put into the team is what's important. Get the players that he feels that he needs to make this work, because I think everyone's on board the Emery train now. We all trust him, and there would be nothing more frustrating than having Emery here and having someone else battling and not giving him the tools he needs to get us where we want to be. So bringing one in, don't bring one in, just make sure you do it right.
Nice. My internet is in and out, so I've just messaged there, Kev, just in case. You might have to jump in.
Well, we can wrap it up anyway. Really.
Yeah. We'll go for our scores. Greg's put there down with the Wi-Fi. Yeah, definitely. The pod's going down with the Wi-Fi. Quick prediction. So Mark says.
Mark says prediction 2-0 Villa, Watkins and Mings. I'm sure that's going to be a really popular prediction.
Yeah. Deco said 4-0. He was 40 this week, so happy birthday to you as well, Sam. So yeah, Sam, I didn't say it, mate. Yeah. Sam, what do you reckon, mate? What do you reckon for a prediction?
Do you know what? As Dicko and I share a birthday, we're also going to share predictions as well. I reckon we're gonna win 4-0. I think we'll keep a clean sheet and it'll be a high scoring game for us. So I'll go. I was going to go 3, but I'll go 4 to match up with Dicko, my birthday twin.
Cool, Mark. Friend of the pod, Mark does all our graphics. 2-0 Villa. It's nice, solid. That'd be a nice, relaxed, easy one for you, Sam, rather than being fraught.
Well, that's if we don't score both of them in the 89th and 90th minute, Kev. You've got.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're the 94th and 96th. Greg's 3-0. Yeah, I'll take a 3-0 win at home. Rich, are you with us, mate? He's not. I just think he's looking like really intently focused, isn't he? Rachel says 2-0. 2-0, but we'll need to earn it. As I've said, Forest will target. This is a game for them to take points from. I think they're going to be worried, Forest, coming into this. Duncan says, look at this. I love this one. We're overdue a big win tomorrow. 4-0, 5-1, something like that. Ollie could well bag a hat-trick. I like Ollie to score. Sam, would be nice for him to score more than one goal in a game, wouldn't it? That's it. That's the one Achilles heel he's got.
Yeah, and I think it's just kind of testament to what I've always said about Ollie Watkins, that he needs quite a few chances to score. So I think if he can start improving, I've seen a lot said about his conversion rate actually, and I think it's because he wasn't getting a lot of chances. But I think if we can feed him the ball a lot and really go at that Forest defence, I can see Ollie getting 2 or 3, 100%. Great shout.
Yeah,
I'm back, lads. I'm back now.
Yeah, you can. Over you go, mate. Deontay's gone 3-1. Over to Rich.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Deontay 3-1 Villa. Gary's not going to go mad, but he's going to go 4-0. I like that. I like that confidence. Um,
That's reserved for
Adam says, I can see them scoring 2-1 win to us. Adamski says it's time we got a few more than 1 or 2 goals. 5-0 Villa.
You
Yeah,
didn't
so
do
very,
the
very.
he, Rich. I want to hear it.
Eh?
You didn't do the he at the end of the prediction.
Oh yeah, sorry. Hee hee.
Brilliant.
I think we're going to win. I'm going to go 5-0 as well. I'm going to go for it. I think big win time. Let's do it.
Wow.
Nice.
I can't believe I'm saying it, but yeah, 5-0 Villa.
Go on, Rich. What are you saying?
I'll say 3-0. Yeah, solid 3-0. Yeah, solid 3-0. Right, before my internet does completely pack in and goes down with the Wi-Fi, much like Leicester were the other night, we'll call it a night, lads. More coming in. 5-0. 5-0 seems to be a popular one. Fantastic show tonight. Thank you for all of your comments, guys. It's great. I mean, we have well over 80 people watching at one point. The popularity of the channel is just going crazy. So please do keep supporting it. We really do appreciate it. Hit that like button. Subscribe if you're new to the channel. Help us get up to that 2K. It'd be amazing if we could do that in the next few weeks. Kev, great to have you on board. Sam, thank you so much for joining us. Please do try and come on more often. It's great chat with you, mate.
I will do, boys. I'll give it a go. No promises. I'm not committing to anything, but I'll give it a go. It's been great to be back on and amazing. Do you know what? The interactions that we're getting now are so great. Everyone in the comments as well. I love that they challenge us. I love that they disagree with us and they validate our points. And honestly, everyone who's watching as well, just keep it up, keep supporting the channel because it's only going to get bigger and better. And it's one of them. I've been watching a lot of feedback of Villa over the last week, as I'm sure everyone has. I've been listening to every podcast, and I can honestly say that out of all of the Villa fan media out there, I think that this channel really does include other fans the most. So yeah, please do continue to support it, and it's always great to sit here and chat with you, Rich and Kev.
I think there's great synergies, isn't there, as well? Hopefully, with the fact that Villa have got a good relationship with their fans, and they're going on a bit of a journey, and they're growing. And if we can grow in alignment with Aston Villa, it'd be a wonderful little process. If we can get bigger and better, and just keep doing what we've been doing, and it's great. You're absolutely right, Sam. It's great to have the chat we have together, but I love the fact that people get involved. It's brilliant. So yeah, I
love that we disagree as well. Like I often say that Rich is talking shit more often when he was talking about Gerrard, to be fair. But I love that. Like you listen to all the fan podcasts and everyone's just validating each other. Oh yeah, that's what I think as well. I love that we come on here and go, "No, I think you're wrong. I would choose Mings. I would choose Conter. I would choose this and that." It's brilliant, and I love that debate forum as well. So keep it going, lads. I know you guys are on every other day, every few days. So keep it going, and well done.
Cheers, all. Thanks everyone.
Thanks everyone, and hopefully all our predictions come true. 5-0 win for the Villa, up to 6th in the league, challenging for Europe. As always, thank you for watching. Cheers everyone.